Hello everybody. Today we will discuss about some facts regarding NEET 2023. You are thinking that you have much time in your hand, but actually time is much limited. In this limited time, you have to finish all the chapters, complete all the concepts, recall, remind, and memorize. So, it is most important to plan accordingly. It doesn't mean that those are super talented, they are actually getting the success. No, this is not a matter. Those are super planned, target oriented reading. That means how much time you spend for reading and how much return or how much benefit you get. My point is, suppose you are consuming 5 hours and only completing half a chapter or solving only 20-30 problems. It is not the proper process. You should target oriented. That means per questions NEET has given only 1 minute. Try to solve each and every problem within 1 or 1.5 minutes. But whenever you are practicing, more time you consumed to understand the concept, to recall the concept. Therefore, towards the end, you may be harassed and confused. That's why you are making more mistakes. This is the main problem for each and every student, the time management. How much time, and listen, such time management must be perfect during your preparation too. If that time management from initial day, you will be prepared, you will be correct, then you will face no problem in final exam too. This is the one point. Irrespective of physics, chemistry or biology, no matter, you should read according to your target. You have this time, this much time in your hand, and you have to complete this chapter. Doesn't complete, that is not only complete, you have to revise at least 5 times. My point is, you read some concepts for many times. That's why this may be your long-term memory. And you may not face problem to solve NEET questions. Let us discuss some points regarding cell biology. A major chapter in the biology. All of you know. And that is a vocabulary and a link to all chapters in biology. My point is, cell need energy, oxygen, energy in the form of nutrients. Most common nutrient is glucose. All of you know the plasma membrane. This is the limiting membrane or boundary membrane is selectively permeable. What does it mean? Small thing, but we have to clarify. Selectively permeable or differentially permeable. That means it allows some things freely and some things slowly and do not allow others. Those are not important to the cell. This is selectively permeable. But when it comes freely permeable, it allows all things. In a freely permeable membrane, distribution of molecules in both sides to be equalized because the membrane is freely permeable. One thing you keep in mind that glucose is water soluble. There are two major components in the plasma membrane, lipid and protein. Do you know lipid is continuous, but protein is discontinuous. Proteins just float like icebergs in the sea of lipids. Therefore, such randomly floating, randomly distributed protein molecules form a mosaic arrangement, and plasma membrane is fluid due to lipid. Therefore, most accepted arrangement of the lipid and protein is fluid mosaic model, till date accepted. But my point is, those are lipid soluble. There is no problem for them to diffuse into the cell because they readily dissolve, readily soluble in the plasma membrane and freely enters into the cell. But those are water soluble. They may not allow freely to enter into the cell. They need certain specialized protein molecules present in the plasma membrane, and such protein transporters, they need the help of protein molecules present in the plasma membrane for their transportation. Such protein molecules or protein transporters are called carriers, protein carriers. They carry water soluble molecules from outside to inside or inside to outside. These protein transporters are carriers, and such carriers may called channel if they do not use energy. Simply they transport molecules in favor of the concentration gradient. It means from their higher concentration to lower concentration. They are called channels. But whenever they use ATP or other forms of energy, they are called pump. Such carriers are called pump. And we may say when the carrier is pump, the transport is active transport because the carrier consumes ATP or in other forms of energy. But when energy does not require, they simply transport the molecules through the carriers. This is called facilitated diffusion or facilitated transport, because gradient is there, provision is there, but molecules cannot pass across because water soluble nature or hydrophilic moiety. So they need the help of protein carriers, but no ATP or energy is required. This is called facilitated transport. One thing remember, some glucose transporters present in the plasma membrane. Such glucose transporters transport glucose, only glucose molecules to the cell. Almost body cells need glucose for survival because glucose is the immediate or common source of energy for all type of living cells, whether it may be aerobic or anaerobic, no matter. Whether the cell using oxygen or not using oxygen doesn't matter, but almost cells in your body use what? Glucose. But such glucose transporter proteins called GLUT4, written in the biomolecule chapter, GLUT4. This only GLUT4 written in the NCERT textbook. But so many glucose transporters are GLUT1, GLUT2 up to GLUT7. But NCERT only written GLUT4. Another thing is what? Some glucose transporters need the help of insulin hormone to transport glucose into the cells. So such glucose transporters are insulin dependent glucose transporters. As you know, the target of insulin is hepatocyte and adipocytes. There are two targets for insulin written in your NCERT textbook. One is adipocytes, other is hepatocytes. Therefore, GLUT4 proteins present in such plasma membranes, hepatocytes and adipocytes. But in all cells in your body, they are permeable to glucose. Other glucose transporters are there. Such glucose transporters do not depend upon insulin. But one question asked 2 to 3 years back in the NEET, insulin dependent glucose transporter is choice GLUT1, GLUT2, GLUT3, GLUT4. Like this. But those students exclusively read NCERT, exclusively practiced NCERT, they remembered only one thing, GLUT4. They do not know about GLUT1, what is GLUT1, GLUT3, GLUT4, GLUT5, GLUT7, etc. They only remembered GLUT4. And whatever the choice may, no matter, choice may be different, but answer what written in NCERT. This is the way of asking questions of NEET. Those students only remembered GLUT4. They choose GLUT4 and they are correct. But those students knew about GLUT1, GLUT2 up to GLUT7. They are confused and they may choose the wrong answer. Most important point to be remembered for today's NEET, that means go through specific things. Those are getting success, their mind is diluted. But reading so many things confuse you because your mind is polluted. So dilute your mind. Read NCERT vividly, thoroughly, up to letter. If you change a letter, question strength, questions type may also be changed. A question may also asked in the NEET, inulin, insulin. Simply one letter difference. It's a hell and heaven difference. Insulin is a protein, but inulin is a polysaccharide. So many things are like that. That means why we are selecting mammalian RBC, human RBC to study the plasma membrane structure. This is written in your textbook. But why this is selected, why not other cells? It is not explained correctly. Because in mammalian RBC, I mean human RBC, only membrane is plasma membrane. No membrane is present within the cell. No endomembrane system and no internal compartmentalization. Only membrane is plasma membrane. That's why if you fragmentize the cell fragment, membrane fragment, left is only plasma membrane. What do you think? If other membranes are there like Golgi membrane, ER membrane, lysosome membrane, including plasma membrane, the cell fragment, how can you decide, how can you confirm that this fragment is only plasma membrane, that may be confused. Another questions, so many questions like that present in NCERT, but very small things. But you have to remember, and you attach with my channel and wait for the next video. In this way, I will put so many small things and how to get success within certain or limited time period. Thank you for watching.